Hey everybody, Jim and Corky here from Reflections en Route. We're back today to talk to you about the Speyer Technik Museum.
That's right. We have a 3-year-old grandson, as you know, AJ, and he loves everything technology, as most kids probably do. He loves, he loves airplanes and trains and automobiles. Oh my. He just, whatever there is, submarines is his new thing.
Submarines.
Underwater anything, rescue boats. Surprisingly enough, mining equipment. So we do a lot of things in the area. We live here in Germany, not far from the Ramstein, Kaiserslautern area. And we do a lot of things basically for him because we're all about the kid.
And it gets us out of the house and exploring, and that's always a good thing.
Exactly.
As far as I'm concerned.
So we decided to take him to the Speyer Technik Museum. It's an easy day trip out of our area, probably about an hour's drive.
About an hour.
Which is good for a 3-year-old. And yeah, it's great for us too, to be quite honest. I don't like to go too far on a day trip. But anyway.
What's the Speyer Technik Museum and why should you go there? Well, first of all, like we said, if you've got a kid or a kid at heart that is interested in technology, this is the place to go.
Oh my gosh. Sprawling.
It's huge. And what is really surprising is it's the sister museum to the Sinsheim Technik Museum, which was the original Technik Museum. And we've passed that a few times as we're driving across Germany. And you see a Concorde off on one side, and you can see some military planes. And I've always wanted to go there.
And we will be going there. We just figured that it's more outdoorsy, so we were waiting for the weather to get a little bit better. But now it's starting to get warm, so maybe soon.
So the Sinsheim Museum, believe it or not, ran out of space. So they were looking for someplace to build a second museum. And they came across the Speyer Flugzeugwerke, an old
airport
factory.
Oh, factory.
Yeah. Including one of the old halls that they were able to renovate and use for the museum. But it has...
Which it does have a hangar feel, and I wondered about that, but I didn't really pay too much attention, It was a little chilly. We went in the winter, so we had our jackets. It wasn't a big deal. They do have lockers, but we kept it with us, our jackets with us because we knew that there was plenty of things to do outdoors.
Right.
And I'm kind of glad we did because other than when we went into the movie, the rest of the place was a little bit chilly.
Yeah, even inside.
Yeah.
So they built it, and of course people came. 25,000 square meters inside and 150,000 square meters outside. It's just packed full of trains, fire trucks.
Well, any transportation you can possibly think of, starting from the wheel all the way to Apollo spacecraft.
Yes. Yeah.
So really it spans the gamut, and it just really sort of wows you. If you're an adult and you can spend a lot of time there, you could easily spend 3, 4, maybe even 5 hours. But as someone with a 3-year-old, we still spent 2 hours there.
Easy.
And he could have done a little bit more, but
he was getting a little tired.
So we took off. But it is a well worth it trip for kids of all ages. Let's put it that way.
Definitely.
The first thing you do is you go in and, of course, you buy your tickets. And in the hallway, there's a couple of games like the flight simulator. Mm-hmm. There was a couple of those that you can pay for and try out yourself. There is a theater where they have various movies that show during the day. And one movie is included in your ticket price. Right. I think if you want to go to the other ones, you pay a nominal fee. I'm not sure what it is. One movie was enough for us. We saw a flight show because he's really into airplanes. And it was in the IMAX theater. It was fabulous. It was a bit loud at times.
Yeah, for him especially.
But even still, even with the loudness, the movie was spectacular.
Like a history of flight.
A history of flight coupled with the whole Blue Angels thing going on. It was really, really well done, I have to say.
I enjoyed it.
And so there's a movie theater, there's a store, there's a cafe. Actually, there's two cafes on site. And then, of course, you have this big, huge indoor area with lots of different things, including carousels and like carnival type, I don't know what you call them, not really rides, but stuff. And everything from army vehicles to fire vehicles to cars to motorcycles, you name it, it's got it.
Old
And then,
steam engines.
yeah, and then you go outside.
And then you go outside. There's a Boeing 747 on display. There's old Sikorsky helicopters that you can climb up into.
There are tanks. There's a submarine to go into.
A search and rescue vessel.
Vessel. There is this huge airplane that's way up some stairs, and then there's a slide to come down which was a bit daunting, but fun. You could get into the helicopters, and I guess that was one of the things that was really cool about it, was that you could do things. You weren't just looking. You were climbing and sliding and pushing buttons to hear different sounds and the stories of different things. I don't believe a whole lot of the stuff was in English, but the movie was subtitled in English.
Right.
And we didn't have any trouble. I mean, we knew what a lot of the stuff was. I don't
remember having any issues with it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. It didn't stop you from having a good time, that's for sure.
It's really easy to get to. It's in Speyer, which is actually one of the oldest cities in Germany. Not the oldest.
It's not the oldest. Trier's the oldest, and we have an article about that.
Yeah. So, of course, it has a good train station. It's got good train connections throughout Germany. And there's a bus directly from the train station. I think it's the 571 that takes you right to the museum, like after 8 stops or whatever. So super easy to get to by train. Of course, it's right along Autobahn A61 and A6, kind of in a corner where the two, A61 kind of cuts off a corner of A6, and it's right there. So easy to drive to. Like you said, about an hour from the Kaiserslautern area.
There's plenty of parking on site.
About an hour probably from Frankfurt, that sort of area. Yeah, and loads of parking.
Yeah. It's easy to get to, and there's lots to do in the area. So you can spend all your time at the Technik Museum, or you could go downtown and go to the Speyer Cathedral, which is a must-do World Heritage Site.
The old town is beautiful.
The old town. We'll be doing more and more things on Speyer as time progresses, but just know that there's plenty to do.
Okay, a little information about it, like logistical information besides how to get there. You can buy the ticket online, but we went midweek and there was maybe a handful of people there while we were there.
I'd say there's about 40 people there.
You think there's even
total?
That many?
Yeah, remember in the when we were going to the movie, there was quite a few people.
That's where we saw most people.
But the thing is, it's such a sprawling site that we never
once around on the site,
ran into anybody, and that didn't become an issue whatsoever.
And that was midweek, and we were able to just walk right up and buy our tickets, no problem. I think
of course,
if we were going,
it was more winter. It wasn't in summer. I think that you will run into school groups. A lot of school groups go there. And I think the better the weather is, obviously, the more people will go. For instance, they have a big playground that had some really intricate, almost scary rides. Well, we had a 3-year-old. The rides were for 12 and 7-year-olds.
I think you had to be like a certain height to ride.
Yeah, but they weren't even really going, even though they were you just coin operated. But I think that it is a very popular place for kids. So if you go when the weather's a little bit nicer, you'll probably run into more people.
Yeah, but you can buy your tickets online, which if you're going on a weekend especially, that's a really good idea. Have your tickets before you go. You can get it as an e-pass, so you don't even have to talk to anybody when you go in. You just go right up to the turnstile and put the barcode on, and in you go. So that's a really good idea. It's a really smart idea also to check the IMAX schedule if you buy the ticket that includes the IMAX movie, and make sure you know which movie you want to go to. And then, because once you get inside the museum, like we said, it's huge, it's sprawling, and it could take you a while to get back to the IMAX theater. So just keep that in mind so you know what time your IMAX starts and plan on getting back there in time. Yeah, there's a couple places to eat. Like you said, we brought a picnic, and there's a lot of picnic tables, but there is
about 10 maybe.
Yeah, there is a pretty good picnic area.
And it was fine. And even in the winter, it wasn't raining out, which makes a huge difference, obviously. But we had a nice picnic out there. And there's no pressure to buy from the
Yeah.
area. You can if you want to. The people who were in the cafeteria having the schnitzels and the spaghetti bolognese, they were enjoying it. You could tell they were just having a good old time, and they were happy with what they were eating. But our AJ likes to have a picnic. That's his
right.
thing. So we do definitely try to have picnics. We do take him we try to take him to a little treat afterwards, and not a block away, 2 blocks
Just around
away
the corner.
was a bakery that we'll put the link in the show notes. And that was a fabulous bakery that we went and had a nice afternoon.
Good coffee, good cakes,
and
pastries.
He had a Berliner, of course.
Which was nice. Even though it was afternoon, they still had a lot on offer to choose from, which isn't always the case, but that one was.
As far as ratings go, I would give it a 5-star for
5
both
stars.
adults and kids. Actually, I think we were the only people there with a child.
Yeah.
No, maybe one other person had a child with them. Anyway, the 40 people that were there were mostly adults, and they were into it. Much more than we were. We were much more interested in showing AJ all the fun things that there were. We enjoyed it, don't get me wrong. We had a blast, but, our focus was a little bit different, I think, than most people's focus. The store was fabulous. You could easily find, which I think is important, something really cheap and small with the theme.
Yeah.
So he got a little, really cute little sandbox that had a truck in it that was a digger for a nominal fee.
Yeah, that's what I really liked about it. It
Yeah,
had a big range of prices. So if you just wanted to get something for your child who can't walk past a display and need to get
plus
something,
they deserve it after a full day being
a couple
there.
of euros, no problem. Or if you're into like a specific thing you saw inside the museum and you wanted to get the model for it, I mean, you could spend up to hundreds of euros.
Couple of €100, yeah. I mean, it really it was a great store. It had clothing, it had everything you could possibly want. Like I said, there's lots to do in the area. I would say it was a 5-star place through and through. We enjoyed every minute of it. We didn't run out of things to do. We would go back. To me, that's the hugest
That's how I determine a
factor.
5-star.
Yeah.
4-star, it was great. But do I need to go back? Maybe not. 5-star, it's great. And yeah, I will probably be back.
And if you have kids, go.